So I built a simple automation that's going to save a lot of hair pulling during the tax season. Basically, every time I have a business expense, I add the receipt to Slack, and it's going to automatically extract all the information from the receipt, like the expense, the total amount, the taxes, the tip, the category, and add it to my spreadsheet automatically. So my accounting team was asking me to submit a spreadsheet with all the expenses I had last year, with the dates, what the expense was, the amount, the total amount, the taxes, and everything. And I was able to do all that in like 5 minutes. So let me show you how you can build an automation without any coding in like 2 minutes. So we're going to be using Zapier as our automation platform. And our first step is going to be using Slack. This is completely optional. This is just a workflow that I like, that every time, I'm out somewhere, I go for a coffee or have a business lunch, and I take a picture of my receipt. I just add that to Slack. It's easier. You can totally skip this step and upload directly to Google Drive. So here's the tutorial. So my first step is uploading the receipt to Slack. I'm going to pick Slack as my app, and under setup, I'm going to use the trigger event as new file. So every time I upload a new file, I'm going to be triggering the automation. But don't worry, we're going to create a separate channel, so it's not triggering on any random file that's added to Slack. Once I have my account authenticated, under configuration, I'm going to pick the channel where I want this automation to trigger. So I just created a new channel called expenses, so that way I know where I need to upload these receipts, and it's not going to trigger the automation if any other random file is added to Slack. Once I pick the channel, I'm going to test it just to make sure everything looks good. If you don't have a file already, it's going to pull up random records. I would encourage you to just create the channel in Slack, upload a random receipt. So once you test this within Zapier, it's going to pull the records so you can see if the automation is working well or not. So our second step is to upload that file on Google Drive. So like I said, you can skip the first step, you can directly go here, or you can skip this step. I'm only using this step to have a repository of all my receipts, so that way I can keep all my receipts in a single folder if I have to ever access them again. So between the first two steps, you can pick one or the other, or both, depending on the workflow you want to build and the requirements you have. So here I'm going to pick my app as Google Drive. I'm going to pick my action event as upload file. I'm going to authenticate my Google Drive, and then I'm going to go to configure. So I'm going to pick my Google Drive and the folder. So here I created a new folder called expenses 2024-2025. That way all my expenses for this year are going to stay in this particular folder. So when the next year rolls in, all I have to do here is go to the same automation and just change the folder to the new one. Now for the file, I'm going to take the file which was added onto Slack in the first step. And if you want to name the file, that's totally up to you. I'm just going to keep whatever default is there right now. Of course, ideally naming the file would be perfect, because if you do need to search for receipts, you can look at them. And now we're going to test this automation just to make sure everything looks good. So that's why I said, if you do have that, receipt data in your channel in Slack, you can go to your Google Drive and make sure that document exists, and there's no errors in your automation. All right, now comes in the AI. So of course, if you know coding, there are other ways, you can leverage APIs for optical character recognition and all that stuff to build this automation. But again, why do hard work when we can do things easily with AI? So here, my next step is going to be ChatGPT, and my action event is going to be analyze image content with vision. So basically what we're going to do here is that as soon as the image is uploaded to Slack or Google Drive, we're going to take that image, we're going to pass it through AI, and it's going to go through the whole receipt and find everything we need to know about the receipt. So under configuration, I'm going to just put a message. So this is a simple prompt telling AI what it needs to do. So I'm just telling AI hey, I'm attaching a receipt. Can you please extract the total amount, the taxes charged, tip as applicable? Also want you to categorize the expense and find me the date of the transaction and also the vendor or the business name. That's pretty much it. Keeping it simple here. You don't need to go fancy prompting here, at least for this use case. And now we're going to test this step just to make sure it's extracting the information that we need. Once we have the information, it's going to be a chunk of text, because it's AI. It's going to give us a paragraph here. So we need to extract the data from the paragraph so we can add it to our spreadsheet in a more structured manner. So we're going to use another ChatGPT step, but in this case, our action event is going to be extract structured data. We're going to authorize our ChatGPT account, and then under configuration, under unstructured data, we're just going to give the output of step 3. So whatever AI analyzed from the image, we're going to add it under unstructured test. And for description, we're just going to tell AI what it needs to do. Again, pretty much the same thing, that extract the total amount, the taxes, the tips, the vendor name, the business name, the category of the transaction. So this is going to give AI an idea of what it needs to work on. And now we're going to create those variables. So under values to extract, here we can list down every single item you want to list on your spreadsheet in different columns. For example, vendor name, date of the receipt, expense category, total tip, taxes charged, and total amount. So that way, when AI looks at the unstructured data, it knows it needs to create these variables and map the value to those variables. That's pretty much it. We extracted the images, we extracted the data from the images, and now we're just turning that into a bit more structured data, which brings us to our last step, which is to connect a Google Sheet and add the data in the Google Sheet. So here I'm going to connect Google Sheet Sheets as my app. Again, this could be any software that you want to use. This could be like your project management software. This could be your accounting software. I mean, again, if that's the workflow you want to build, but I'm going to keep it simple. We're just going to use Google Sheet and populate all the data over there. So my action event is going to be create spreadsheet row, and then I'm going to connect my account, and under configuration, I'm going to pick the spreadsheet. So I just created a spreadsheet called, expenses 2024-2025. It's a new spreadsheet. I've just picked the sheet. It's a sheet 1 default. I did not rename it yet. If you do, in the dropdown, you're going to see that name of the spreadsheet. Now I'm just going to map the fields I extracted from a step 4 to the columns of my spreadsheet. So here I have expenses, total amount, taxes charged, tip, and category. And that's my automation. I'm going to test it just to make sure it's working correctly, and I'm going to publish the automation. Once I do, as soon as I upload any new receipt or I upload a bunch of receipts all at once, it's going to trigger automation for each one of them, and it's going to populate the spreadsheet with all the data I need to know. We can look at a receipt here and the information on our spreadsheet. Everything is accurate, but of course, it is AI extracting data. Even if you use any other OCR tools to extract information from images, I would still recommend just match it with your receipts just to make sure the information is correct. Eyeball it first of all to see if anything looks off place, and then just match it with the receipt. It's a good practice. I know that part is going to take a little bit of time, but again, if you're using AI, it's still wise to keep humans in the loop. All right, this was the tutorial. See, no coding, right? And it takes like 2 minutes. I hope you liked it. You learned something new. And if you did, give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next videos.